Survival and exploration are two of the most compelling instincts that make up the human condition. One prolongs our life, the other gives meaning. While some of the greatest stories ever told weave these together, the sweet spot that these two intersect at has proven to be rather elusive in board games. The Seventh Continent seeks to change that. Unlike many games in the choose-your-own-adventure style milieu, it grounds its storytelling in a more strategic and mechanical shell, empowering you to think critically to survive in a vast island filled with wonders and horrors. From my own experience, the game's first and still biggest surprise is the overall structure. Like me, you might expect this to be a campaign-style game. Complete a mission with potential branching paths, maybe level up in some way, get some item to unlock some additional story beats later on, so on and so on. But no, Seventh Continent revels in the unexpected. Within the retail edition, my edition, there are 3 curses that each set the stage for an independent adventure. And that adventure, maybe it takes 2 hours, or 4 hours, or 40 hours for all you know to start with. Survive till the end and you win. Run out of energy by way of exhausting the player's shared action deck, which consists of multi-use cards that are both your pool of successes for skill tests and the majority of equipment and other non-location specific actions you can take, and every test risks defeat. No, each scenario is its own campaign, one which can be collapsed and saved at any time. Sure, there'll be climactic scene changes, epic moments, and terrifying precipices that make excellent save points, but you are free to press on or stop, with the only, though potentially severe, penalty being that only your current location on the island will be preserved, and any labor involved in discovery of the emerging island behind you will have to be done again. So let's talk about the island. Your chosen curse leaves you and your fellows as a castaway at a specific spot on the Seventh Continent, and that continent is made up by hundreds of cards, and the landscape, it is the fixed landscape. The continent itself is not procedurally generated, but the events that flip, a sort of fog of war between you and new chunks of world, are semi-random. Furthermore, outcomes of tests and sometimes access to certain actions will be impacted by what curse you are playing, what equipment you had on hand, and what you've discovered along the way. Sure, during one adventure, the fearful obelisk initiates a powerful spiritual test that might imbue you with arcane knowledge via experience points, only to be traded in for advanced skills to be added to your pool. But on a specific curse, that may initiate a story beat leading you to areas in the continent otherwise inaccessible or requiring specific knowledge you might not otherwise have. Similarly, you may look to distant shores and consider swimming to another area, but if you have a raft on hand, not only can it make the skill check easier, but it impacts the areas you have access to. This game is about as hands-off as possible, which is either going to be one of the most tantalizing and exciting things you've ever experienced, or one of the biggest turnoffs in your gaming life. With barely any cryptic clues to guide you, your party will constantly second-guess their decisions, wondering if this is the right way or yet another dead end, a worthy investigation, or a perilous trap. The game is so jam-packed with interesting discoveries and great little story beats, but it is a vast, open, and dangerous sandbox, one which you will have very little time to waste. This game is brutal, frustratingly so. And that makes me kinda love it. The action deck I mentioned earlier corresponds to one of the most concise and compelling skill systems I've played, one that broadly takes on myriads of thematic concepts while remaining smooth and consistent. Virtually everything you do in the game involves taking an action, which can be on a location, a card in your hand, on your equipment, an event, whatever. The prompt is a white box denoting the type of action, a minimum amount of cards you must reveal from the action deck, and the amount of successes that must be achieved. And sure, you can flip the minimum number of cards, but cards sometimes have no successes, or partial successes, or successes that are 7s that have to be activated by a yo, your 7s count as successes effect. So maybe you hedge your bets. You choose to reveal more cards all at once to guarantee the pass, but your deck gets thinner and thinner and thinner. See, the action deck represents time and stamina. Like most things in life, if you do it carefully enough, you'll be able to manage, but you are stranded on an island. Spend 10 hours scaling a cliff and you're bound to starve. Rush as fast as you can and you might have disastrous results. So what are you to do? Well, first and foremost is find sources of food. Fauna about the island, which involve their own tests to hunt and fish, will be the main source of shuffling discarded cards back into your deck. And you better believe if you make a fire at your location, cooked food replenishes more because, raw horned bear meat is kind of nasty. Second, you'll need to craft items to help with your tests. From bows and boluses to walking sticks and fishing poles, the action deck has a ton of items that either make actions more efficient, meaning the minimum cards to flip are reduced, or straight up grant successes for corresponding tests. Which sounds great, but this is a game of survival. Not only does crafting an item from your hand require its own test, usually not requiring successes but still requiring time, but each use of a crafted item reduces precious durability, and items weigh a bunch so you can only carry so much at a time. But the game takes with one hand and gives with another, because in true survival fashion, if certain resources are available at a location, it makes it easier to craft that item, and items can be combined to be more efficiently used and carried, rewarding smart and synergistic combinations that may, just may, help you and your companions make it to the end. The sense of perilous exploration and unparalleled freedom is exhilarating. You feel like if you play smart enough, balancing caution and risk, you could survive forever. Until you don't, and things can go real soup sandwich and come to a demoralizing end. This game is by nature a game of try, die, and repeat, and instead of starting over on a mission, you start over at the curse's beginning, whether you've invested an hour or 10. Yes, the randomized events and your new circumstances will dramatically impact your path along the way, and yes, you'll be able to circumvent much of the exploration you had to do the first time around just to find out the direction you're supposed to be going, and yes, you become more skilled the more you play, but it takes a certain type of person to fail after investing 5 hours of time over multiple game sessions and not throw your cards down and say, "F this," walking away. Which is exactly how I felt after losing the first time. And second time. And yet, I kept coming back, attempting the same curse over and over, retreading familiar ground because those kind of stakes made every foothold, every new bit of knowledge, every better decision learned through experience feel vital and deserved. In truth, I think this game is extremely niche, brutal, expansive, and you gotta be prepared to employ your best clerical skills as you retrieve and file dozens and dozens of cards as you play. And even in the best conditions, uncertainty looms over every decision, forcing you to stake your survival on probabilities, symbolic clues, and hunches. But in all of my time playing, it never felt unfair. For me, the Seventh Continent's greatest strength is an exquisite balance between wonder and peril, employing a smooth and consistent framework that supports a wide range of thematic situations and an overall structure unlike any game I'd ever played. While at times its opacity and lack of handholding teetered from exciting to frustrating, and losing a scenario after hours is painful, overall I found it to be a challenging and rewarding sandbox that plays as seamlessly solo as it does with a group. The Seventh Continent is an adventure game that gives meaning to exploration by constantly hinging it upon your survival. If you enjoyed this video, we have all kinds of other reviews, interviews, and recommendations via writing, podcasts, and video here on our channel and website cardboardherald.com. Our content is audience supported, so if you want to show your support, please visit our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Cardboard Herald.